To this day, there is no testing and counseling for the vast majority of the sexually active individuals of a developing country, as it is proposed by the Knowledge Protects program. Most people still do not know whether they are infected or not. Thus, the domino effect of new infections is still in full swing. Annually, 2 million new infections have been recorded during the last 10 years. It must be noted that these are not precise data, but estimates based on statistical projections. We have experienced pilot programs in which about 1,000 people came within a 2-day period for testing and counseling, despite of the fact that the announcement was made just a few days prior to the event. In view of the failure to contain the spread of HIV/AIDS in developing countries, it is now suggested to reconsider a large-scale implementation of the Knowledge Protects program. Among others, the program was discussed in meetings of Repke and Ayenzo with the President and the Vice Presidents of the World Bank, the Majority Leader of the US Senate, the leaders of various international organizations such as UNOPS, WHO, Africare, International AIDS Trust, International Business Council on HIV/AIDS, as well as with the heads of affected companies in different parts of the world.
Exactly the date when they were infected, so that from those, blood is drawn or serum is drawn every 2 or 3 days, and you have these collections which are very, very important. And so we see technologies and what they offer is, I think, because of the confirmatory test, the Western blot, the other thing, a major advantage. The result is there are.
Furthermore, Repke and Ayenzo presented the program in meetings with prime ministers or health ministers of various countries, including Ghana, South Africa, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Congo-Brazzaville, Kenya, Botswana, Lesotho, Uganda, China, and Germany, as well as 2 traditional rulers, such as the kings of Ochiman and Ashanti. In addition, they conveyed their proposals personally to the responsible officials in 7 other countries.
Something can be done. 15 years, not very much has been done. But here is something which can be done under the circumstances. We cannot change all circumstances overnight, but we can do things under the circumstances. And that means providing people with the power of knowledge.
Repke and Ayenzo gave various detailed lectures about the Knowledge Protects program and the experiences during pilot programs in Africa, at various national and international conferences, as well as in the relevant committees of international organizations. The Knowledge Protects book was printed in a large edition and distributed free of charge to countless individuals and organizations around the world. Despite of the rather new and radical proposals, the reaction of those people with field experiences were overwhelmingly positive. Some of these conferences were solely dedicated to the Knowledge Protects program.
From now on, I am not going to expose myself to anybody anymore. This is a deterrent. So if you are negative, you should be told that you are negative, therefore please protect yourself.
Oh, I was surprised at the very good response I got, because I expected them to come with minds fixed on doing things the way they have always wanted to do them in the past. And yes, I may have had one or two people who definitely thought that we should stay with what we were doing, but by and large, most of the people who attended that symposium were interested in the Knowledge Protects program because of the differences of the execution of the battle against HIV. Many times the current battle has been fought from more conservative approaches, which have not always given us such good results, and everyone in the room was in agreement that it's time to become more aggressive, it's time to become more open-minded, and it's time to fight HIV more from the people's perspective rather than from our own perspective as policymakers. The media response was very good. We have articles that appeared in the Daily Nation, the East African Standard, the Kenya Times, and the People Daily the very following day. And they captured key aspects of the Knowledge Protects program, especially the Daily Nation, which reported the specific principles of Knowledge Protects in a very clear manner. And if the press could understand it that clearly and report it that accurately, then we did get the message across. Then we did successfully manage to at least teach on the Knowledge Protects program in a way that is simple, that was understood. And so we are encouraged by the media response we got. I was approached by the Daily Nation to run a whole full-page story next week on the Knowledge Protects program, which is what we are currently developing. So the media have as much interest as the stakeholders, which in our experience has shown us that we actually managed to convey the message as simply but yet as accurately and as important, with as much importance.
As outlined later, the purpose of our program is to ignite drastic and long-lasting behavioral changes. This form of behavioral and social vaccination is currently the only realistic approach to contain the spread of HIV. It is particularly important for young adults, who comprise a large part of the African population and are most vulnerable.
It really does not touch your heart and your mind unless it affects you directly, unless you know in a confidential way, properly counseled, whether you are HIV infected or not. That knowledge is what really induces a reframing of conditioned reflexes, not theoretical campaign information, which has already been widely spread without too much effect. That is a reason why the Knowledge Protects program, together with shielded and counseling, is viewed by many people as one of the few, perhaps the only realistic possibility to contain the domino effect of the spread of HIV/AIDS in developing countries. This program offers a way to liberate the protective power of knowledge.
The Knowledge Protects program and the experiences made in the pilot projects in African countries are far too complex and detailed, as they could be described in this film. Therefore, the following is just a glimpse at what we propose and have learned in working with the affected people, governments, and traditional leaders. We will refer to the upcoming new edition of our book, HIV/AIDS, Knowledge Protects, New and Specific Approaches to Contain the Spread of HIV in Developing Countries.
The program proposals are outlined in a step-by-step manner. It's almost like a recipe to be followed. We ask for criticism, and we ask for proposals for the extension or for alterations of the program, and for people to join us in the implementation of pilot projects.
Genau. Diese Flaschen da benutzen.
What is the aim of the program? We intend to stop the main reason for the spread of HIV in developing countries, the domino effect. Furthermore, it is designed to change risky sexual behavior of the participants in a long-lasting manner by introducing the reframing of a conditioned reflex. We call this the behavioral and social vaccination. These goals can be achieved only if virtually the whole sexually active population is voluntarily tested and counseled. The term domino effect refers to the inadvertent infection of others by those who do not know their HIV status. This is a major reason for the spread of the infection in developing countries. The second goal is to use the power of knowledge about the HIV status to permanently change the behavior of the participants. The new set of heat-stable rapid diagnostics permits 100% reliable HIV diagnosis in remote and poor areas. Most people in these regions have no way of finding out whether they are infected or not. Obviously, the program cannot be conducted in war-torn districts and those infested by Islamist terror groups. Such conflicts have caused a massive displacement of people who are now living in refugee camps, where sexual favors in exchange for food and other necessities are widespread. Here, however, the shielded testing and counseling of all sexually active inhabitants would be of great benefit to all. The large-scale application of the Knowledge Protects program in developing countries is only feasible by a combination of rapid test systems which provide the same 100% accurate diagnosis as the combination of laboratory screening and confirmation tests in developed nations. Such test systems did not exist at the time before the introduction of the Knowledge Protects program. Therefore, the first of the 5 shields, comprising the shielded testing and counseling program, must be a 100% reliable HIV diagnosis, which works under field conditions and in areas where many other potentially interfering diseases are prevalent. The use of 1 or 2 rapid screening tests under these conditions has proven to create between 2 and 5% false positive results. Accordingly, many truly HIV-infected individuals have adopted the notion that they must be among the false positives. Therefore, Repke and his team invented, tested, and produced not only a new ultra-stable detection system, which withstands the African heat for years. They also invented and produced a set of novel genetically engineered proteins which represent those parts of all variants of HIV which are recognized by antibodies from all infected patients in different parts of the world. In addition, those components which are known to cause false positive reactions were eliminated. These tests were scrutinized with blood and serum from more than 10,000 patients all over the world in independent laboratories. Thus, the high sensitivity and virtual absence of false positive reactions was confirmed. In addition, the production of the 20-second screening test went successfully through a number of approval processes. This required an extensive documentation of each step of the production and quality control. The 100% accuracy of the new test system is achieved by the use of 2 novel confirmation tests, subsequent to a positive screening test. These strips have been also invented by Repke and his team and are equivalent to the serological confirmation tests used in the laboratories of the developed world. In order to make sure that both medical professionals and educated volunteers of the involved NGOs have useful instructions, an easy-to-understand handling pictorial, as well as a comprehensive information booklet, are included in each box of testing kits.
Von den schon aufführst und dir ein Papier kaufen. I just need something for the needle. I forgot. I need that. Yeah. Glasses, oder dann ziehen.
In various African hospitals, Repke and his team used these test systems on patients with various severe diseases. It was often surprising to notice that neither the head of the clinic nor the physicians had any idea that virtually all of their patients were HIV infected, thus explaining the root cause of their suffering. Instant Screen is a blood screening test which determines within 10 to 20 seconds whether a person is HIV infected. 1 blue dot means that the test has worked and the person is HIV negative. 2 blue dots show that the individual is infected with either HIV-1 or its less dangerous variant HIV-2.
So, dann sollten wir die Nummern hier noch drauf schreiben, dass wir das nicht verwechseln.
Maintenant, ce qu'on va faire, c'est qu'on va noter le numéro du patient et le nom du patient sur chaque test pour ne pas les confondre. Là aussi, c'est archivé positif.
C'est édifiant. C'est édifiant.
Voilà. Alors, ils sont tous...
Tout ça, c'est positif.
Ça, c'est les 4 patients.
Instant Confirm is the equivalent of the laborious and expensive serological confirmatory test, the Western blot, which is conducted in laboratories in developed countries. Different genetically engineered HIV proteins are applied at the test strip. using another small drop of blood. Some of them appear as blue lines in case the person is infected with HIV-1. Instant differentiate is another test strip and detects whether or not the person is infected with HIV-2. It is conducted in parallel with instant confirm. This whole procedure takes about 6 to 8 minutes. This set of tests is stable at tropical temperatures for years, which prevents handling problems under field conditions.
Can you lift them up again?
So, jetzt kann man hier sehen, wie das so hochsteigt. Und wenn das
Information, mais c'est aussi le test de différenciation. Pour qu'on puisse savoir si c'est un HIV-2 aussi. En même temps qu'on soit sûr,
The solvents used during the test kill the virus. Therefore, the test membranes can be affixed to the documents, thus providing permanent proof of the test results and preventing mix-ups and any falsification of data at a later point in time. This turns out to be very important in case the results are being disputed by a patient.
Ja.
These tests are going to make voluntary testing a lot easier. You can take all the tests with you, talk to the patient, then you test him, and within a few minutes, he will have the result.
The second shield of the shielding testing and counseling program is provided by announcing it in cooperation and with the endorsement of local community leaders as testing for infectious diseases. With the support and participation of both traditional and/or elected and trusted leaders, a large number of participants is easily encouraged to come to the testing. All know that HIV tests are the main part of the program. However, they can claim to their peers that this is of no interest for them because they're only concerned about other health risks. This provides a shield against potential stigmatization and suspicion due to the knowledge of others about the participation of a person.
Suffering on the continent today. And it doesn't have to be very big, but something that is practical, pragmatic, and doable. But more importantly, the type of leadership role that people of your stature and leadership could make within this kingdom is taken much more seriously than anything that any politician can say.
The third shield is provided by pre-test education in a group of participants where they can ask questions and are educated about how to protect themselves against infection with HIV and other regionally occurring diseases. The fourth shield is a confidential one-on-one pre-test counseling, in which a detailed questionnaire is filled to obtain the informed consent of the participant. In addition, private concerns and questions are addressed by qualified counselors. Only when these steps have been completed, documented, and signed off, the participants will be tested for HIV. The two new confirmatory tests are conducted before HIV-positive individuals are informed about their HIV status during the post-test counseling.
Bands HIV-1 and Western blot HIV-1, 4 bands out of 5 bands. The upper band is a control band. It's very strong.
Ça confirme que c'est une personne séropositive de l'info 2.
Mixed this with the billions here. You see it here. I just insert this and wait until the blood reaches this window. This takes about 1.5 minutes.
Ça, c'est le cas pour nouvelle personne. On fait d'abord le test de et puis on teste le
The fifth shield is provided immediately thereafter. In case an individual is tested HIV positive, the counseling addresses both the therapy options as well as private concerns. For example, regarding ways how to inform the family or sex partners in order to prevent the infection of others in the future. The HIV-negative individuals are provided with additional information about methods to ensure that they stay that way. The total cost of shielded testing and counseling for one individual is about 17 US dollar. This includes the cost for the 3 rapid tests, the documentation, and the cost for personnel for pre- and post-test counseling. The cost for conducting this program for the whole sexually active population in Africa, including the costs for the necessary organizations, the infrastructure, etc., is estimated to be around 3.5 billion US dollar. This is not much compared to the 20 billion US dollar which are currently needed for just 1 year of antiretroviral treatment in developing countries.
We expect the pilot program to take about 1 week, and we expect to begin that about 2 weeks from today, because the pilot program is not going to be a very elaborate or very difficult exercise to carry out. We are going to have about 2,000 or 3,000 people being tested in an area which is going to be picked up by us depending on various demographic attributes of that particular area. So we expect to have about a team of about 10 people, several counselors, go into an area, test them according to the principles of knowledge protects, then collect data from that experience together with the government, and then come and demonstrate the need for growing this program into a nationwide or region-wide program. Following that Knowledge Protects pilot program, we will therefore then appeal for funding from larger organizations like the Global AIDS Fund to be able to expand Knowledge Protects nationally.